What am I going to speak about?
Any of those things?
Oh yes. I entered the Dominican Order on the 30th of September in 1933. I was then 16 years of age. The following day was 1st of October. It was a Sunday, and it was Rosary Sunday. So in Tala, they had the custom of having a procession, the Rosary procession, around the garden on Rosary Sunday. It was a very well-known event, and people came out from Dublin, quite a crowd came out from Dublin to see it. And when the procession began, out came the postulants. That's we who had arrived the previous day. The postulants in their black suits. And then after them came a whole row of Dominicans in the white habit. I was the last of the postulants. And out of the corner of my eye, I could see the photographer. He was a photographer from the Irish Independent. I could see him waiting for me to step out of range so that he would have a complete line of white. So I saw that. He waited for me to take that fatal step, but I just shuffled, didn't take the step, and he clicked the camera. And there was I. The picture appeared on Monday morning, the Irish Independent. All the papers in Ireland had it. And I left home on Saturday. Monday morning, my photograph all over Ireland in the Irish Independent. So when I saw it, my father immediately ordered a copy from the Irish Independent, and he showed it to me. And here was I. The sisters have got the copy. I think the sisters have got the original in their archives. I've got a copy of it somewhere. We've got many photocopies made. But I looked so young. I was 16. I looked like almost just about 14 or 15. And you could see just the corner of my eye, left eye, just looking at the camera. And just waiting. And I was the one in black, the last postulant, and then the line of white behind me. So of course I was ribbed a good deal about that. Then what comes after that then? Another thing we're talking about.
What about when you found the file?
Oh yes.
Did that happen before Wayne Hankey?
Oh yes, Wayne Hankey. When I was, yes, I found the file. When I was appointed, I think I've told the story before, how I came to be appointed. And I went to Rome. There was no room, no office for me. It hadn't been yet set up. It was vacant and hadn't been cleaned up. So I was sent upstairs to the Secretary of State, and I shared the office with my boss, my superior, a man called Monsignor Tricarico. Monsignor Tricarico is now an Archbishop. I told the story about him already. But we had two tables, and there he was always telling me, "No, you must work hard, you must work hard, you must work hard, you must work hard." And I got fed up with this. I think, as I said before, I said, "Would you shut up," I said, "and give me a chance of working? How can I work hard if you keep on talk all the time?" So anyway, one time when he was not in the office, I had the file. They gave me the file of the work which they had done so far towards the founding or establishing of this English language edition of L'Osservatore Romano, Vatican newspaper. So I had the file and saw the work that they had done, communicating with bishops and all the letters and all various things were done. But then I came on and I saw I saw a whole file that they should not have been there. It was the personal files of the 23 candidates whose names had been put forward from the English-speaking world. Incidentally, there were no one from the United States. That time they didn't want anybody from the United States. They didn't want it to appear to be an American paper. So I read through my own file first. It was what the nuncio said about me. It was single typing on both sides of a page. And I read through it quickly, and it was amazing how he repeated all our conversation, repeated everything I said, except that he discreetly omitted some of the things I said. For instance, when I said, I never make a mistake, he discreetly omitted that. But he was an American, New York. But then one thing he said, his faith, if I may be permitted to say so, is typically Irish. He said, if I may be permitted to say so, because he was Irish. Both his parents came from Ireland. He was first generation Irish. His faith, if I may be permitted to say so, is typically Irish, firm, solid, and Roman. I was amazed, because it was then I realized that it was those three adjectives that got me the job. Then I had a look through the other 23. I looked through my own and saw all what the different people said about me. Almost like the Last Judgment. What Archbishop McQuaid said, and Cardinal Conmer said, what my own provincial said. My provincial had pretended that he had done nothing to get me appointed. Obviously, he'd written this glowing account about me. He was on my own year, my own batch. So we entered the same day. So I read all that, and then I got curious about the others. I went on to read the one submitted by Archbishop Cardinale. He was the apostolic delegate in London, and he was advocating a priest, I think he was from Portsmouth or somewhere, and he was advocating him very, very strongly. And then he said that he had heard that there was a Dominican from Ireland, his name was being put forward. And he said he wanted to urge them not to appoint a religious, because he said if you appoint a religious, they will only be furthering the interests of their own order. So I saw that. I remembered that. And it was interesting because that priest whom he was advocating, recommending, afterwards left the priesthood and got married. And he became the secretary of the Episcopal Conference in England. Just imagine. And then I read through the others. There wasn't much. One from South Africa and other from various other places. But I glanced through them all, I suppose until such time as Monsignor Tricarico returned, I had to get on with something else. But I very much regretted that there was no such thing then as a photocopy machine. Because if we'd had a photocopy machine, I could have nipped out and photocopied this letter of Monsignor McGill, Archbishop McGill, what he had said about me. It was a long letter. Well, anyway, that was my experience when I went there.
Now, the first edition of the paper, you put a picture of the Dominican.
Oh yes, I remembered what Archbishop Cardinale said, that they'd only further their interests of their own order. I wanted to prove that he was correct. So the first issue of the paper came out, It was the 1st of April actually, but I didn't want to put that date on it because I thought it would be making things too obvious. So I put on the 3rd or 4th of April on it. But I had on the front page, I put a pastoral letter by Archbishop Murphy of Cardiff. He had a great command of the English language. He had been educated in Salamanca in Spain. So he had written this one which was titled The Bark of Peter, B-A-R-Q-U-E, Bark of Peter. And right in the centre, top centre of that front page, heading this pastoral letter, it began on the left of the photograph, but I had the photograph in the centre. It was just after Ash Wednesday. And the first station of Ash Wednesday is always held in Santa Sabina, our head house in Rome. Pope goes there, he goes to Sant'Anselmo, walks down to Santa Sabina, and then the station mass takes place in Santa Sabina. So the Pope was there in Santa Sabina. There was a choir with all the Dominicans in their full habits, and Dominican, completely Dominican. So I wanted to prove that Archbishop Cardinale was quite correct. We had the Dominicans right on the front page. It's interesting that I put in the subtitles on that page. One subtitle was the divine right of 51%. Another one was the democracy, the right of the majority to go wrong. And then before I had left Ireland, some of those who'd been my students on Houston, who gave me the nickname of the Rule of Faith, challenged me to put the Rule of Faith in the first issue. So I remembered that. And then, right on the front page, the third subtitle was The Rule of Faith. And then went over to the next page, and the final subtitle, I remember, was In the Eye of the Hurricane. Because in the eye of the hurricane there's calm and there's peace. That's what I meant by that one. So that was the first issue of the paper. I think I have already dealt with, haven't I, about the press conference I have, at which I also have dealt with the press conference about Humanae Vitae, I think, haven't I? The Pope's encyclical.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
The Pope's encyclical.
Oh, wait a second. Let me start another thing.
Turn it off for a moment.